Hello viewers, welcome to my first video of 2024, and I want to kick things off with a look ahead to some of the bikes I'm excited to ride over the next 12 months. And do let me know what bikes you want me to try and review here on the channel by leaving a comment down below. So we'll kick things off in no particular order. I'll put a link down below in case you want to skip ahead to any bikes that stand out for you or interest you personally. And we'll start with the new Rysel RCR. So this is the French company's new aero race bike, and they are sponsoring the ADHX Citroën team, the World Tour team this year. So putting these decathlon Rysel bikes back in the pro peloton would definitely raise their awareness and profile, and the bike looks like it's right up for the task of being raced at the highest level. So I saw this new bike and the other bike launched by a company back in April last year at Sea Otter, and they've been released in the last few months and they do look really good. But while it might look like most other aero bikes out there today, it has been designed in collaboration with the French Aerospace Lab and a university, so hopefully the way it looks will be backed up by good data in a wind tunnel if anybody does any wind tunnel testing with it this year, and hopefully give the pros who are now paid to ride a bike the performance they need from such a bike. And this brand new aero bike will be priced from about £4,000 for a SRAM rival bike, and then about £8,500 for a Shimano Ultegra Di2 bike. So still a lot of cash, yes, but definitely cheaper than what bigger bike brands will offer you for the same level of specification. So it's a bike I can't wait to ride and see if it offers the performance to match the looks, and it possibly could be, if it is as good as we hope it is, one of the star bikes of the year. So a strong entry for the first bike in my roundup of bikes I can't wait to ride, but there's loads more, so let's rattle through them. Gravel bikes have definitely been a big part of the channel for the last few years. They are really popular and definitely not a fad. They are here to stay. I personally love riding gravel bikes, and one I can't wait to ride, hopefully very soon, is a Time ADHX 45. So Time, as we know, is a French company, and I last rode one of their road bikes probably 10 plus years ago, and they've been bobbing along for the last few years, still making bikes in-house with their unique carbon fiber process, which is very different to the usual kind of carbon fiber layout in a mold process that we're more used to. And their new ADHX 45 is their first fully fledged gravel bike, and I can't wait to find out if it's as good as it looks and see how it rides compared to more mainstream gravel bikes from the Canyons and the Specialized and the Treks and so on. So definitely one on my radar, and fingers crossed there is one on its way to me very soon. So stay tuned if you want to see a review of that bike. So something a bit different for sure, and something hopefully that will be appealing to all of you watching at home. The Santa Cruz Stigmata is another bike I'm keen to ride. And the list of cool details on this bike starts with space for 50mm wide tyres, which is definitely up there with the most generous bikes in the category. There's no internal routing, they've gone for external routing with a conventional headset, so no issue replacing the bearings, so maintenance on the bike is very easy. We also have a threaded bottom bracket, a SRAM UDH rear dropout, so compatible with SRAM's new drivetrains. It takes a regular round seat post, and the head tube is now shorter, so you can fit a suspension fork without upsetting the geometry. So a really nice move for this mountain bike influence inspired gravel bike, and hopefully one I can ride this year and see how it compares to the likes of the BMC Rs, the 51 Assassin, and the Merida Silex, and the Villiers Adler, and a few other gravel bikes like that, taking a lot of inspiration from mountain bikes for their geometry. Another new gravel bike launched last year was the Bianchi Impulso, their new aero race gravel bike that looks very fast, and one I can't wait to find out if it's as good as it looks. Now, gravel is a huge category. The racing scene is massive, and there's bike packing and adventure riding. And some bike brands have been very progressive, like Specialized and Canyon, in launching lots of different models to meet the different needs of gravel, from racing to adventure, bike packing, and everything in between. And Bianchi, I think it's fair to say, have been a bit behind the trend, but the new bike brings them bang up to date with the demands of the gravel racer. So an aero frame, looks like a road bike on steroids, really aero optimized head tube and seat tube junctions, looks absolutely rapid. There's internal routing, but only the top end model has a one-piece carbon handlebar and stem. And the geometry is fairly on trend as well. They're going for a longer reach with a shorter stem, a bit like the Specialized Crux. The space for a 42mm wide tyre, so not the most generous, but enough for gravel racing, a bit like the Canyon Grail. And the weight of the top end model is 8.1 kilograms claimed, which is pretty light for a top flight gravel race bike. Certainly as light as many road bikes. There are also plenty of road bikes I want to review this year as well, and we'll start with the Orbea Orca. I had quite a soft spot for Orbea. I've always liked the Orca, their flagship road bike, and it has changed and morphed over the last 10 or 15 years, starting life as a lightweight bike, then becoming an aero all-rounder. But now they've gone back to the roots and made it as lightweight as possible and removed a lot of the aero features. So less an aero all-rounder like the Tarmac SL8 and more a pure lightweight climbing bike. So an interesting move, perhaps a controversial move, depending on your point of view of aero versus weight, and it is certainly lightweight. The frame is a claimed 750 grams, and a top-end build is about 6.6 kilos claimed, so definitely up there with some of the lighter bikes on the market. But it's a shame there aren't any aero features, so how it compares to, I guess, a Factor O2 van will be interesting. Is it weight at the expense of that all-round appeal, or will it really impress on the climbs enough to make you forget you don't have the aero on the flat? I guess we'll find out, hopefully, when I get a chance to ride it. A bike that is definitely all about maximising aerodynamics is the new BMC Teammachine R, which launched last autumn, and a bike I'm really keen to ride. I've always enjoyed riding and testing BMC bikes, from their Teammachine SLR, their lightweight race bike, to the Road Machine, their endurance bike, and this new Teammachine R looks absolutely fabulous. And it's another example of F1 and cycling coming together. Ferrari and Carnago worked together over 20 years ago, and here BMC have partnered with Red Bull, the F1 team, to really push the aero on the bike as far as possible, and bringing that outside experience and fresh set of eyes onto a road bike really shows in a bike, because there are some distinctive features and some unique aspects that really stand out, like the fork, for example, what they call the halo, really wide stance designed to improve the airflow between the fork and the wheel, a bit like we saw on the Hope track bike, but not quite as extreme. So it's all about aero, massive aero down tube. That bottom bracket junction is absolutely colossal, but then really skinny, slender top tube and rear stays. And it is quite a nice looking bike in the photos, but how it looks in the flesh, and importantly how it rides, is another matter. And it's definitely an expensive bike. The top end model goes to £14,000, but hopefully if I get a chance to ride one, I can test a mid-range one that doesn't cost an absolute fortune and see where it's as good as or better than the current leaders in the aero road bike category, the Tarmac, the Trek Madone, the Cervelo S5 and so on. Focus is a well-known German bike brand, and they have two new bikes launched last year, both of which I hope to ride over the next 12 months. There's the Paralane, their endurance bike, and the Izalco Max, their flagship race bike. Let's start with the Izalco Max, which used to be a lightweight bike, and back in 2018 when I reviewed it, it was one of the lightest production disc brake bikes in the world with a sub 6.8 kilo weight. But the last version went all aero, as most road bikes are these days, and the new version is even more aero and apparently saves up to 6.6 watts over the old bike, which is a big saving. One detail I like on the new Izalco Max is while they're going for internal routing, as most aero bikes have these days, to put the cables and hoses inside the front end, the handlebar, stem and head tube, they have gone for a two-piece handlebar and stem, so you can fit a longer, shorter stem, wider, narrower handlebar, so you're not compromising your fit as many one-piece bars and stems do. But if racing isn't your thing and endurance and comfort is, then a new Paralane is definitely worth a look. Now, when it launched back in 2018, when I reviewed it at Road CC, it was a bike I was really impressed with. But sadly, it wasn't a commercial success in the UK at least, and was never as popular as a Trek Domani, Specialized Roubaix or Cannondale Synapse, which is a real shame because it offered all the performance and features you want from an endurance road bike. So a new version has been brought bang up to date, and they've gone for an aero makeover bringing some of that Izalco Max design to the bike to make it a very fast, sleek looking bike. A bit like a Candale Synapse perhaps, and there's space for up to 35mm wide tyres, so not as generous as the new Defy or Roubaix, the same as the Canyon Endurance in fact. So it's definitely an endurance bike that's ticking that kind of fast road racer with more comfort than a sit up and beg sort of endurance bike. So not super high, but pretty aggressive in the numbers and the stance of the bike. Another bike I'm keen to ride this year is a new brand to me, but a familiar one if you are watching in the US, and that is Fezzari. And I saw them at Sea Otter last April and was really impressed, both in the design of the bikes and the way they look and all the features, and also the prices as well, because they sell direct, so there's no dealers, no network, so they pass the savings on to the customer. So you're getting good value for money and bikes that look really on point. And the Veyo is their aero platform and looks really smart. And the prices for this aero bike are really good. You're looking at just over $3,000 for a bike with Shimano 105 Di2, then about $5,000 for a model with Ultegra Di2, which is a lot less than many other big mainstream brands. Last year, endurance bikes were really popular and we saw some really interesting new bikes launch, like the giant Defy, the Specialized Roubaix, and the Canyon Endurance, going in different directions. Some crossover into gravel, some pure road. And one bike launched last year, which hopefully I ride this year, is the new Pinarello X. So Dogma X has a shorter reach than the Dogma F and space for wider tyres and a bigger focus on comfort. And to achieve the extra compliance over the Dogma F, they're going for these X stays at the rear end of the frame. So where the seat stays connect to the seat tube, rather than just go straight up, we have this arrangement of small tubes designed apparently to allow the back end to flex more and give more comfort in the saddle. And it is a divisive looking feature. I don't know if I like it or hate it, but I'm open-minded and hopefully it does contribute to a smooth ride in the saddle than the Dogma race bike. So an interesting bike, one, hopefully that will deliver good performance. So hopefully a bike, fingers crossed, I can ride this year. Another interesting entrant into the endurance bike category is the Lauf Uthald. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. So Lauf is an Icelandic brand and they came to fame with their suspension fork with the carbon leaf springs back in 2015, maybe earlier, 2013. And they've since launched their own frames and bikes. They got the Grit, and last year launched a gravel bike, but the Uthald, if that's how you pronounce it, is their first proper road bike. And it's a road bike that brings some of that gravel bike DNA to the endurance bike category and does have an interesting mix of details and features that do really stand out. And it stands out because we have some really slack angles compared to most road bikes, so they're really going for creating a bike that's super stable and relaxed when you are riding at speed over rough roads. So it's not a bike that's super nimble or agile, but nice and laid back and measured, and that's what you want from an endurance bike when you're doing big hilly sporties and you're tired. You don't want the bike to be twitching all over the road. And then we have space for up to a 35mm wide tyre, which is as wide as a Canyon Endurance, but does lag behind the Special Roubaix. So I think they could have gone wider. And then we have some other cool features like a rear half of the frame design to allow up to, their claim, not mine, 15mm of compliance when you're in the saddle. So that's similar to the VCLS split seat post and a Trek Domani ice-speed decoupler. So a bike that does have some interesting features, interesting look as well. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. So hopefully one, I can find out how it performs sometime this year. And another bike I'm really keen to ride to ensure this channel isn't all about carbon bikes is a new Reilly Fusion. So you've probably seen this bike on the channel a few times. Now Reilly are a small British company specialising mostly in titanium, and the Fusion has been gathering pace over the last 12 months with different stages of prototypes being unveiled. But now at the Rouleur show last year, they showed the final development model, and this bike stands out for two reasons: how it's made, which impacts how it looks. Now normally, as you know, titanium tubes are welded together, and there are different levels of welding quality from mutes at one end and cheaper ones at the other end with ugly welds. What the Reilly stands out for is having cast lugs which give this amazing seamless appearance around the head tube, the bottom bracket, the rear stays and the seat tube. So it is a bike that looks like it formed from one piece, so smooth and organic does it look. So the bike that ticks all the other gravel boxes as well, wide tyres, mounts and mud guards and other bike packing features. So hopefully in 2024 it's a bike I can actually ride after seeing it come to life over the last 12 months. So quite a list of bikes to ride. It will definitely be a busy year for sure, and I can't wait to get stuck in. Anyway, that's all for today. If you want to see a roundup of the best bikes I reviewed in 2023, you watch that video right up there. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel by hitting the button right here. But I'll see you all very soon. I've got loads in the pipeline, so make sure you stay tuned.